This is 93 Million with Doug Andrew. Welcome to 93 Million with Doug Andrew, where we talk about how to optimize your assets, minimize taxes, and empower the three dimensions of your authentic wealth. My name is Greg Dukowitz, your host, facilitator, and IUL specialist. And in today's show, we're covering the strings attached to qualified accounts, how much taxes it would take to pay off the national debt, and becoming tax diversified. And we're joined by the OG of properly structured IUL, New York Times bestselling author, and the author of the Laser Fund, and great lover of acronyms, Doug Andrew.
That's me. It's great to be here.
Welcome, Doug. And co-author of the Laser Fund, IUL tactician, and a man who can say anything he wants about his brother Aaron, who's not here, Aaron Andrew.
That never stops me.
And featured host for today, one of the top IUL specialists at Laser Financial, a true entrepreneur, and a father of 3 daughters and a son, Scott Reynolds.
Pray for me, please.
And also featured host for today, the president of Laser Financial, and also father to 3 daughters and a son, Brandon Johnson.
Howdy, howdy.
Gentlemen, we're really excited for the topics we have today, so let's just jump right in. Qualified with who? The government. According to the American Society of Pension Professionals and Actuaries, or ASPPA,
That's a mouthful.
more than half of Americans use qualified accounts like an IRA or 401k to save money for retirement. But the keen observer might ask the question, what is a qualified account and who is it qualified with? Well, the government, of course. Investopedia defines a qualified plan as being subject to governmental regulation and certain tax breaks. Of course, the government.
But here I come, the government. Oh, and I get to take 40% of your lunch.
I love Ron Swanson.
And the chips
And that,
and the
Lauren,
drink.
is how taxes work.
That's not fair.
You're learning. Uh-oh. Capital gains tax.
Oh, death tax.
Oh, I love Ron Swanson. Doug, let's start with you. As always, what kinds of strings are attached with qualified accounts like IRAs and 401ks?
Well, let's talk about just a few of the pros, and then the cons far outweigh the pros. I mean, people get duped into putting money into these tax-deferred accounts because they get to put in pre-tax dollars into a 401k or tax-deductible contributions to an IRA. Okay, so they think that's great. They get a tax deduction today because they're in the moment instead of looking at the big picture. It grows tax-deferred. Okay. And sometimes they get matched by their employer. Okay, you put in $1 and your employer matches maybe 50 cents on that, which they're really sort of helping to pay the tax on the back end for you. But there's huge cons. What are the strings? Well, you can only put in a certain dollar amount or a certain percent of your income. Okay. And if you touch that money for any reason, emergency or whatever, not only do you have to pay tax unless you borrow, but then you have to pay it back or it's going to be taxed. And there's a 10% penalty, okay, on top of the tax. So if you're paying 22%, you're going to pay 32%. So you get penalized for touching it before age 59 and a half. But when you approach retirement, if you don't start withdrawing money, when the government says you should, because this is the best savings bond the government ever came up with for themselves. Okay, they have a permanent tax lien on this. It messes up their predictable revenue. Okay, and so they penalize you up to 50% on withdrawals you should have started making, the RMDs, required minimum distributions, which usually happens between ages 72, 73 right now. So the strings attached, the cons, it's taxed. You must use it up based on their formula, and it can potentially be taxed twice upon passing to non-spousal heirs, depending upon the estate tax. Mm-hmm. Most savvy CPAs and tax attorneys will agree with me that the worst place to leave your money when you and your spouse die to your children is in yet-to-be-taxed IRAs or 401ks.
Yeah,
they can't defer until they're 50. Now, they have to pay the tax within 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Worst place to leave money.
Which puts them into a higher tax bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Emran, thoughts on this?
Well, history teaches us a lot. I mean, when you look at these accounts, they were really originally designed for the employer, the business owner, the highly, highly compensated individual that might be getting compensated. Their income, not their net worth, their income was over $1 million a year.
Right.
Right. And so they are trying, they're that top 1-2% of Americans that might be in a lower tax bracket than when they retire because they're no longer receiving bonuses and salaries of millions of dollars per year.
Right.
But everybody went ahead and just adopted that for the middle class
The
America.
norm.
This is not the right account for middle class America because everybody gets caught in that tax trap. They're not going to be in a lower tax bracket. And so, it's a great account for your employer. It's not the right account for the employee or even, for almost the vast majority of middle class America. And so it's you just learn and watch and, learn from history. It's not the account that was set up for the middle class individual.
Yeah. Scott, thoughts?
Oh, yeah, the interesting thing is the one that made it possible is the one that gets to change the rule somewhere in between.
Yeah, that's your
He
government
gets
partner.
to increase it. He gets to call it whenever he wants to. I mean,
Right. Change the rules.
Uncle Sam, he's your partner with
He
it.
can change his percentage of the take.
Yep, he can change it all.
The biggest string of taxes. Who's controlling the strings? Who's the puppet master
Right?
here?
Yeah.
Well, and that business partner that you're talking about is $37 trillion in debt, right? And he's reckless.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a partnership where,
Don't say it.
yeah, you've got all the control, and I'm taking the risk. I'm putting money in there, and the market goes up and down. I'm the one that's stressing about it.
I know,
You gotta
right?
just keep taking.
It's like you're
bad partnership.
you're the caretaker of this account for years and years, and you're helping it grow and nourishing this nest egg, and then,
I've
and then the
noticed-
government's just standing out in the wings saying, "Oh yeah, I got 40% of that."
I would much rather have an account that I have kind of full, complete control over.
This is not the debt you need to be concerned with.
Oh, the Jedi mind trick. There you go. I like that, Scott. So, all right, good. Well, coming up, how much tax would it take to pay off the national debt? But first, just a reminder that if you're enjoying this content and you want to see more of it, please like and subscribe and ask us a question or comment. We may use it in one of our next shows. Well, we'd pay how much more in tax? I decided to have a fun thought experiment with ChatGPT. Okay, now remember, AI can be wrong sometimes, so take this with a grain of salt. But it walked me through the math, and I don't see any issues with it. So I asked ChatGPT if future taxes were raised to cover the entire national debt over a 10-year period and assuming an equal percentage increase across all marginal tax rates, how much would taxes have to increase for 10 years to eliminate the national debt of nearly $37 trillion? You like that question?
Done.
Okay, are you ready for this?
I'm curious to know.
I mean, here's the drum roll. What is this? What is this? I'm interested.
So first it gave me all the math. It kind of walked me through, but here's the bottom line. Income tax would need to increase by a factor of 168% of current levels. In other words,
Ouch.
go up 68%. Okay.
Ouch.
Now-
Look at those numbers.
Look at those numbers. Now, here's the kicker. Are you ready for this? This calculation didn't include interest. ChatGPT's like, that's a more complicated calculation if I include all the interest on the national debt, but I can do it if you want. And I said, yes, please. So I asked it to include the interest. You ready for this? Taxes would have to double.
Wow.
An increase of 106%, right? 206% of current levels, right? To pay off the debt in the next 10 years. Of course, this ignores factors like how the economy would suffer, GDP, if we cut spending or anything like that. Scott, let's start with you on this. If we talked last segment about strings attached to IRAs and 401ks because of the idea that you'll be in a lower tax bracket when you retire, do you think the average American will be in a lower tax bracket when they retire?
The sad part on these numbers, that's actually not the highest we've ever been at as a nation tax-wise.
That's right.
So is it
That's
possible?
right.
Yes, because we've been down that road before.
Who knows?
So,
What's the highest rate?
96.
94.
94.
94.
Close enough.
Yeah.
94%, I think.
Might as well.
Just because we did a show on it that's the only reason I remember.
But yeah, there are definitely a lot of strings attached, and taxes have to go up. Either that, or we can keep turning a blind eye, and then it blows up.
Yeah.
So-
Do you think, we could cut spending. Do you think that there's any interest in the general public or politicians?
We're experiencing the one places trying to cut spending,
Right.
and people are complaining about it.
Right. Yeah.
So can we cut spending?
I'm not complaining.
I don't know that we can.
I'm not complaining.
I don't.
man.
I think
Sheesh.
everyone is happy with where the spending is, and
I think that's the biggest fear, because even if they increase taxes, the politicians would think that they could spend yet even
more money.
I mean, I think this.
Right.
I don't think they would be able to sustain it. If they increase taxes, spending would equally go up almost almost dollar for dollar.
That's a really good point, Emron. So you think if there was an increase in taxes, politicians would also say, "Oh, well, we could spend more
We could
money.
fund
we
more.
could do a new program or something."
I mean, it's you see it every time. You see it. I mean, can you trust these politicians? I mean, I cannot trust these politicians.
We need a study on toenail fungus in Zimbabwe. That'll cost $50 billion.
Yep.
Oh, that's frightening. Brandon, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm all for transparency, right? I want to see like where's this money going to? Who are you loaning money to? There's like there's all these things that are coming out with this new entity, new group that's trying to create transparency.
Right.
And now we're kind of scratching our heads like, what? Where is this money going and why?
Right.
So it just doesn't like there's no fiduciary feeling at all of they're taking money and doing like the wise thing with it, paying off debt or generating and creating opportunities with it. If you're creating opportunities for jobs and business and growth, great. We're all for that.
Yeah.
If you're wasting it and just giving it to like
$1 million toilet seats in the Pentagon. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't need those.
yeah, or some
groups
phony
booking Caesar
startup
Palace.
company that's like there's no like receipts of like, hey, tell us about this company that you're loaning money to. Is there any kind of history that they show that they can pay it back? No, we just loan it to them. And
Brandon, do you think the kind of cutting waste and fraud has at least created like an appetite for kind of cutting that a seed has been planted? Maybe is that possible?
yeah, and I think this should be kind of a unison sort of, both parties should absolutely get behind it. I can't imagine why you wouldn't get behind something like that.
The responsible American.
The one paying taxes.
Yes, they
the
want
one that cares.
Well, and that wants a future for their
their
kids, their grandkids.
Yeah.
Like we're borrowing money for future generations
And putting the debt on their backs.
on their backs. That's what we're doing.
So scary. Doug, wrap us up on this topic. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, because this debt is so runaway, every time Congress gets together, and again, pro and con are opposite. Okay, progress is the opposite of Congress, but they always are looking for ways to spend.
Yeah.
And if we can cut and legitimately cut spending and then raise taxes and allocate that to pay off the debt and reduce it down. But it's going to require a ton of discipline, and that's what politicians have lacked. And so I'm not super optimistic because of what I've seen throughout my entire lifetime. Spend.
Yeah.
And then when we have a pandemic like COVID, they spent twice as much as they brought in. And then do they have a method to pay it back? No. They So
that's scary.
It's basically during COVID-19, they spent double to triple. If you or I were making $100,000 and we spent $200,000, what would we have to do? Okay, we'd have to figure out a way to pay off that money that we borrowed. But no, the government continues to spend more and more. And
this is interesting. Going back to Emron's point, in your point, in COVID, there was a huge kind of increase in spending. Right, because of kind of COVID, and it was a crisis and all of that.
Right.
And then you would think once the crisis is gone,
pull back.
We would pull back to the pre-pandemic spending, right? Because okay, the crisis is over, it's done. We can just go back to where we were. Has that happened? Is that going to happen? No, it's not even close.
Not even close.
It
It's
just
really scary.
allows for new levels.
Right.
Levels of spending.
Once you get to that new level, you can. It's like the indexing of government spending.
Yeah.
Once you go up, you can never go back down.
Ron Swanson is now eating the sandwich of 500 little girls.
Right. All right. If you're enjoying this content and you're wondering how to take advantage of these ideas, Laser Financial helps individuals and families like yours implement proven strategies to grow and protect your wealth. One of our most powerful tools is the Index Universal Life Policy, or IUL. IUL, it's not just insurance, it's a tax-free retirement strategy, a way to grow your money with compound interest and a safety net against market downturns. Imagine being protected from market losses while still participating when the market goes up and having tax-free income that allows you to keep more of what you've worked so hard to save. Go to laserfinancial.com or call 801-505-0409 to schedule a free consultation and see how these strategies can work for you. That's laserfinancial.com or call 801-505-0409. Don't wait. Take the first step toward a brighter, more secure financial future today. Are you a financial professional wondering how you can expand your business working with Index Universal Life or IUL? Are you leveraging IUL to its full potential? That's where IUL Insiders comes in. In the upcoming weeks, they're hosting the IUL Challenge. It's a free 3-day event designed specifically for financial professionals to help you build a thriving, scalable business that sets you apart from the competition. You'll learn proven strategies to market, design, and sell properly structured policies that deliver incredible results for your clients and for your bottom line. If you're ready to elevate your practice and scale your business, visit IULchallenge.com/93 to save your seat. Spots are limited, so don't wait. That's IULchallenge.com/93. Take your business to the next level. Tax diversified with an IUL. We often talk about Index Universal Life or IUL and how it can create a tax-free retirement income stream. Emran, how can an IUL help someone become tax diversified? What does that even mean, tax diversified?
It's actually probably one of the greatest questions, one of the greatest topics, because people talk all the time about how to be diversified, and they try to diversify amongst these different types of asset classes. But ironically, tax diversification has probably a bigger impact on your money and your dollars and how long your money is going to last. Right, it has a much bigger impact than trying to just put your money in all these different baskets. For example, let's go. Let's just dive in and take a look at the wisdom table for a second here. And if I look at the wisdom table, let me kind of see if I can get that to pull over. Okay, on here you can see this is when I meet with a lot of people, you see that this is probably the primary places most people have money. Things like IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, 457, SEPs, deferred comps, pension, Social Security, savings, CD, stocks, bonds, EFTs, mutual funds, annuities, and real estate.
Yep.
Right? There's nothing wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with having money invested in any one of these areas.
Right.
However, what most Americans have the epiphany of is when all of my money is invested in just these areas right here, they all have one thing in common.
It's a lot of red.
Right. They're all subject to taxes.
So if you're listening to this and not watching us on YouTube, which you should also watch us on YouTube, but it's all red. It's
all red.
It's a pie chart of pretty much all red.
And so what you're looking for is when I look at tax diversification, I'm going to take a piece of my portfolio and I'm going to protect it from tax, especially the threat of future tax rates, right? We often talk about that. Is future tax rates going to be higher, lower, or the same? Well, if you believe they're going to be higher, wouldn't it make sense to protect my money from those future increases? And that's what we take a look at. And when you insulate that, you protect it. And especially our serious cash, money that we rely on, money that I can't afford to lose. That is that foundational money, and that tax diversification creates more back-end results when you go to access your money than just about any kind of investment diversification.
Yeah.
Tax diversification, again, I've mentioned this before. The largest bill that you will pay during your retirement years will be your cumulative tax bill.
Yeah.
And if you can manage that, reduce that, think about it. If you could minimize your tax bill in retirement by 20%, 30%, 40% or more, that's all. Now, all that money goes back where? It goes back into your pocket. And how much better off are you going to be? I love that. We talk, it's about transforming. It's a transformation. It's not just about diversification. It creates a transformation. So at the end of the day, I always love this when they talk about the harvest on the back end, right? On your back end harvest, are you going to be, just a mediocre harvest? Are you going to have that amazing harvest on the back end? And that's what the tax diversification does for you. It allows you to have that harvest and harvest your retirement the way that you've always wanted it to.
Tax-free.
Tax-free. So add some green to your pie chart.
Add some green.
Add some green.
Add some green. Add some green to your harvest.
Brandon, it's really interesting. How much does it affect the we're always afraid of the unknown, right? So how much does having everything in yet to be taxed vehicles, how does that affect someone? Why is that significant when you're planning retirement?
Yeah, I mean, like anything in life, I think you want to be pretty well balanced and think about a scale. I mean, if everything's tipped to one side, you're a little out of balance.
Yeah.
And something that we definitely try to help our clients with is see, hey, how can we kind of tip that scale a little more where it can be to your advantage, right? Because at the end of the day, the unknowns are where taxes are going to be.
Right, yeah.
The questions are always, like Doug asks in his webinars and seminars and all of his trainings is, do you think taxes are going to be the same, less, higher?
Right.
And it's like 98 to 99% of people anywhere in any audience agree, yeah, we think they're going to be higher. It doesn't take rocket science. And so...
Yeah, and it's interesting. Everybody would say, oh, yeah, we think they're going to be higher. But if you were to pull that same audience and say, well, how much higher?
That's what's
right.
scary.
It'd be
Right.
You'd get a mixed bag. We have no clue, right? We don't know.
Uncle Sam has a huge appetite for spending.
Which is why it's imperative that you put yourself in a position where you have choice and control.
Yeah.
The problem with the IRAs, 401ks, and all that whole route right there is you're allowing the government to dictate your future in retirement.
Right.
Are you going to go ahead and give up choice and control, or are you going to reclaim choice and control?
I would say definitely be proactive though, because it's hard. We'll meet with clients who are coming up on RMDs. They're in their 70s, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, I've got 3 million just sitting in qualified accounts. And I've got to start converting this. What should I do? What's the best way to do it?
Yeah. Otherwise, they're dictated.
If you're 59 and a half, and you're past that penalty age, and you're heavy in IRAs, 401ks, start being proactive and getting that money into tax-free buckets. And even before then, like anything extra that you're putting in qualified accounts, you can reroute that to tax-free accounts.
Yeah, there's strategic rollouts, but also and conversions, but also reroutes of contributions to add some more green to your pie chart. Scott, what are your thoughts?
Well, you've worked hard. Hopefully you're going to enjoy all of this money. But I think most people also want to hand off money to the next generation. Yeah. So are you handing off a burden to your family, or are you going to hand off even more money than what you have? And I think of my dad. He didn't get to enjoy all those years of hard work, but thankfully my mom is taken care of. And so that death benefit turned into more money where she was able to live. She's doing great today. And so that death benefit component does come into play, but also handing off an IRA 401k to your kids where they have to consume the money in 10 years. Yeah. I mean,
there's no step up in basis for an IRA or 401k, right? You don't get any break.
You're handing off a burden to your kids. I mean, yes, they're getting money, but they also have to, their tax rates are probably going to go up because of that. And so rather than that, hand off a tax-free death benefit to your kids, and it's even more money than what you had. So that's the other aspect of this. That's just, I love.
That's a really, really good point. Doug, final thoughts. Wrap us up on this subject.
Okay. I liked what Brandon was talking about.
No,
We've had...
You didn't like my part?
No. Oh, I liked yours too. Okay. But I think of a couple that came to us with $2.6 million, and they thought with a 6% payout, they would get $160,000 a year of income, plus another $40,000 a year from Social Security or a school teacher pension, $200,000. And I looked at it and I said, I see one big problem: the amount of tax you're going to pay the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Even at the current tax rates, it was over $50,000 a year. Now, I recommend 40 to 60% of your retirement income should be tax-free. And they went, well, what's that? Yeah. But in 5 years, doing a strategic rollout, we took their taxable income from $200,000 down to $80,000. And we saved them $31,000 a year in tax minimum. We will have saved them over $1 million by the time they reach their life expectancy. We do this all the time. But it was dramatic.
Yeah.
So my entire career, as you know, I've been talking about tax-free. And true story, because many times people will ask, they see me in a grocery store or something. Oh, you're Doug Andrew. I recognize that voice. And by the way, is that IUL really tax-free?
As if you're going to go.
And I remember I walked into this log furniture store to buy some log furniture for our cabin, okay? And this guy goes, I know that voice. You're the man on the radio. I've been listening to you for over a decade. By the way, is that IUL really tax-free? I said, there was no other customers in the store. I said, you got time for a quick joke?
This is great.
He goes, okay. Yeah,
Oh,
I go,
boy.
okay.
Oh, dear.
Oh, boy.
This guy goes up to a hamburger stand and asks the little waitress, okay, I would like to order a hamburger, a shake, and a large order of French fries. And this sweet little gal goes, well, I'm sorry, sir. We're out of French fries. He goes, oh. Okay, well, then I'll take a hamburger, shake, and just a medium order of French fries. She goes, sir, we're out of French fries. He goes, okay, well, then let's I'll take a hamburger, shake, and just a small order of French fries. She goes, sir, can I ask you a few questions? He goes, yeah, go ahead. She said, who put the straw in strawberry? He goes, I guess our creator, the Lord. Okay, who put the ape in grape? I guess our creator did that. She said, well, who put the freak in French fries? He goes, there ain't no freak in French fries. She goes, I know, sir. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
There ain't no freaking French fries.
Are you sure this story's not about Scott?
Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure Scott was the one who kept asking.
And so I said, there ain't no freaking tax in tax-free. Do you get it?
Oh, is that what tax-free means?
There ain't no freaking tax in tax-free.
Are you sure?
Okay. I'm thinking, you've been listening to me for 10 years, and what do you think I'm talking about?
The message received.
If I say tax-free, there ain't no freaking tax. Anyway.
Reminds me of the SNL skit. Don't spend money that you don't
Cannot.
have.
Yes.
You save money that you spend money that you save.
But where do
Steve
we
Martin.
find this saved?
Where would we find this saved money? Oh, great. Love it, Doug. Well, just a reminder that if you're enjoying this content and you want to see more of it, please like and subscribe and ask us a question or a comment. Okay, that's all the time we have for today. Be safe out there, and we will see you next time on 93 Million. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.